to that missing Texan girl that took her ass over to Scotland and is playing in them people's garden? Get your ass back over here. What is you doing? That nigga got you bringing him Debbie cakes. Get your motherfucking ass over here. I don't know if they gave you mushrooms or what, bitch. You laughing at everything. Ain't shit funny. It's about to be winter time. What is you gonna do? Get your ass back over here. Them people don't mean you no good. This shit is crazy. God damn, we can't. God damn. I know it's rough over here too, babes. I know it is. But feed a nigga Debbie snacks in the back of somebody's garden, we can't have that. Your family's worried. We all worried at this point. Because it looked like they got you on some type of shrooms. And you hallucinating over that motherfucker, giggling every 2 seconds in that garden. You gotta come back, love. You got a whole life to live. You gotta come. Even if you don't come back here, okay? Get away from there. Talk about kookabaco. What? Girl, you get up out them people's garden.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. So today we are back talking about Kaura Taylor. I told you guys we'll be back for a part 2. You don't know what I'm talking about. Let's just do a little refresher. This is Kaura Taylor. She was reported missing back in May. Her family reported her missing, and she's been found gallivanting in the woods of Scotland. And also, she's now changed her name. She now recognizes herself as Asnat, Lady Safi, or Athnine. It's a mess. It is a mess. I'll link the video for part 1 below. If you missed it, go ahead and check it out. And then you could come back and watch this video so it'll make more sense. We're going to go and watch the TikToker explain more about Kubala. This would be her explaining part 2.
The kingdom of Kubala. I don't even know what to call this, to be honest. Okay, and thank you for your patience. Thank you for bearing with me. Some of you were patient, messaging me and all sorts, but like I'm humble rest for you. Okay, I have to work. I'm doing my best. So I believe it's fairly early on in the marriage that Nino, floats the idea of being a polygamist to Jean. And Jean on her blog says that this wasn't news to her. She was familiar with polygamy. I believe her dad, who is quite a pivotal figure in her life, and we will come back to him later on. I believe he had multiple wives, so it wasn't something that she was unfamiliar with. She was, in theory, okay with the concept. In practice, though, it seemed like Jean actually really struggled with sharing Nino in the early stages. A lot of the blog posts, so I will say her blog is still up. However, she has done a lot of editing. She has done a lot of censoring. She's deleted a lot of the blog posts that documented the Shulamite and the Hagar era. But it's okay. I remember. The wives were always fighting. There was always a lot of cattiness, a lot of bitterness, a lot of bitchiness about how long he was spending with who. He would pretend to go to bed with Jean in the night, and then he would wake up at 2 a.m. and then go and sneak out and stay in Shulamite's room. And then when they brought Hagar on the scene, Hagar was like a whole different kettle of fish, because she while Shulamite was Ghanaian, Hagar was described as being Asian. And for any Americans that are watching in the UK, Asian, the term Asian is usually used to describe somebody of South Asian descent. So she was of South Asian descent, and she was also painted out to have quite a good job. I believe she worked in finance, and Shulamite also had a good job. He actually met Shulamite in university, and then encountered her, invited her to an event in the UK years later, and reconnected in that way, and then, made a move on her, proposed to her, took her home and said, "You're going to be my second wife." And then he pretty much did the same thing with Hagar. So that trio of wives fell apart, and Hagar was demoted to a concubine because she brought an engagement ring and proposed to Nino in one of the service departments, which was apparently a big no-no. Like, he is the one to make the move on the woman like that. He is the one to let them know when they are going to, be stepping into their next role. Because there's a hierarchy in the household. So yeah, it goes Nino, Jean as the first wife, second wife, and then the concubine, or whoever that is below the second wife. The concubine, from Jean's writing, she makes it seem like they're just there for physical pleasure, whereas the wives will be the ones that bear the children and the heirs of Kubala, or the Northern Kingdom. So Jean as a mother, I would say that Jean was a good mom. Mind you, when she met Nino, she had 6 children. They did have another baby together. So it was initially 7 children that they had. Blended that family, he accepted them all, and they were just one big family. They were one big happy family. From what you could see online, Jean was a good mom. She enjoyed parenting. She enjoyed having as many children as she did. So then Shulamite gets pregnant. So Jean really gets jealous here, because up until this point, she is the one that bears the children, and she sort of has that title. And now by Shulamite getting pregnant, it sort of shuffles things up in the household. Again, there are a lot of posts about crying wives, about like cattiness. I believe that Shulamite shaved off Jean's eyebrows at one point. I'm not sure. A lot of like cattiness over cooking food, taking care of the children.
Asnat, or should I say Kaura, are you listening? Girl, what have you gotten yourself into? You don't put yourself in position to be wife number 2. Do you want to have your eyebrows shaved off, ma'am? Back and forth fighting over a man that is really not even that good looking. Oh, Lord.
And Shulamite begins to, post her own blog. She begins to document her story of Nino in her own words. Again, I will leave it up here so you guys can go and read it. The thing that I find most disturbing about Shulamite is the fact that she disappears. She disappears. The last we hear of her, she is pregnant. Hagar, the third wife / concubine, has been exiled. And that's all we hear. That's the last that we hear of Shulamite, which I think is concerning. I hope and I pray that, she just left, she caught some sense, and she's raising her child somewhere in peace.
Right.
So there was a period where it was like fairly uneventful, right? There was no Shulamite, there was no Hagar. I believe Jean was pregnant, so a lot of her blogs were about taking care of her children, which again, I believe she was a good mom. However, during this uneventful time is when we see the birth, I suppose, of the House of Ophir. The House of Ophir, which then later on becomes the Northern Kingdom.
Oh my goodness.
Which later on becomes Kubala. Okay? And that's where, during that moment of that sort of era of peace and quiet, is when he sort of brings forth this House of Ophir, and they begin, in their blog post, she starts to talk about maybe like some type of, how can I say this? I wouldn't say rituals.
What?
But actually, yeah, some of them were rituals. Like, and I feel like that's what she says. That's what she calls them as well. A lot of ceremonies and dinners and feasts to bring in this new era of the House of Ophir.
Y'all, so she got a whole series. We gonna check it out because I'm interested. Y'all don't. I'm interested. I am now locked and loaded. I'm interested in learning more about Kubala, okay? So we gonna watch part 3.
Welcome back to part 3 of the Kingdom of Kubala. Let's go. So we left off with Hagar and Shulamite both sort of vanishing, and there being a period of relative peace in Jean and Nino's household. During this era, I would say most of Jean's blog posts were directed towards people back in Zimbabwe, where she is from. She is always, unfortunately, beefing with the Zimbabwean community. She has said some extremely out-of-pocket things about Zimbabwe and its relationship with Ghana. which, you know, as we can probably tell, is just a projection of the relationship that she has with Nino. So again, this is where we hear a little bit more about Nino's desire to start the Black Monarchy, or what he calls the Kingdom of Kubala, or the Kingdom in the North, which was what they were calling it back then. This is where we start to see a lot of artwork from Jean. She begins to write these posts explaining their doctrines. And I will leave her blog up here so you guys can go and read it for yourself. It's wild. During this era, Jean gets pregnant and she has another baby. After the baby is born, she mentions that Nino has left the house. He has moved out. He's living in his own bachelor pad, which apparently is the norm in polygamous society. If you have had, as a wife, has had a child, you can expect your husband to, for the period that you're healing, go and stay somewhere else. He will be interacting with one of his other wives until you are healed or past that postnatal period.
Absolutely not. And over my damn dead body. Absolutely not. Okay? This is the problem. Now, I don't care what culture. I don't care about no culture like that. Because clearly they couldn't live in perfect harmony. That's why wife number 2 and the concubine left, because they couldn't deal with it anymore. There was no perfect harmony. This is crazy. Crazy.
So after the birth of this child, when Jean was by herself, I believe Nino was kind of spoiling her. He was very much lavishing a lot of gifts upon her. She posted a lot of pictures of her just like flaunting money like a rapper, like on a bed with loads of £50 and £20 notes around her, posting pictures of gifts, of bags, of date nights that they would go on. And she overall seemed quite happy with their arrangement. Now, it turns out that Nino was not in another property by himself. He was in another property with Hagar. Hagar was still around. Jean found this out and she crashed out. And I believe that is where her decline really starts. One thing that's really important to know about Jean is that she has a very unhealthy obsession with Meghan Markle. Yep, that Meghan Markle. She is completely obsessed with her. She actually hates the woman. She cannot stand the fact that she married into the royal family. She cannot stand the fact that she is mixed race. She cannot stand the fact that she was speaking up about her depression, her anxiety, her experience within the royal family. I feel like the story of a Black princess really triggered Jean, because, as we know, this is the story and the personality and the background that she was trying to portray for herself. So during this postnatal era where she's posting her pictures of cash and the dates that she's going on with Kofi and how wonderful her life is, she posts that she is reading a book documenting Harry and Meghan's love story. This book triggers the hell out of her, and what we get is post after post after post after post on her blog about Meghan Markle and how she just hates her. She hates the woman. One thing I have to say, when people hate Meghan Markle, it's strong. Like, there is such vitriol there that it's concerning. Now, I think that one of the reasons she was spiraling so hard is because Kofi wasn't paying her no mind. Kofi was posted up elsewhere with Hagar in one of the service apartments that he used to sublet, and was living his life. And she was at home taking care of the children, taking care of a brand new baby, and knowing he used to send he used to send her pictures and be like, "Don't get mad," triggering the hell out of her. Now, some of her posts actually gain a bit of traction, and if you know anything about the people who are fans of the royals, they're very serious and they're very extreme, and the people who hated Meghan loved hearing this rhetoric coming from a Black woman directed towards Meghan. So Jean's head was getting a little bit big. Like, she was getting some traffic. She was I believe she was in communication with Samantha Markle, which is Meghan's sister, who, you know, that strange sister who doesn't like her and is always talking to the press. Yeah, that one. It seems that Kofi's arrangement with Hagar ends, and it seems that he then moves back in with Jean, because again, there is a lot more of the rituals, a lot more of dressing up in the white linen, a lot of references to the Northern Kingdom, Sabbath dinners, a lot of ceremonies.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm sorry. We gotta go back.
A lot of references to the Northern Kingdom, Sabbath dinner.
this is what y'all worshiping? This is your king?
A lot of ceremonies involving all of the children as well. So this is like just when COVID was starting, and Jean mentions that she's going to start homeschooling her children, which isn't something that surprised me. I believe it's something that she was doing before as well. She talks about homeschooling her children, and the posts about Meghan Markle continue. Sadly, during lockdown, Jean's dad in Zimbabwe passes away, and this 100% is the spark that just lights the whole lockdown era up. It goes left from here, people. Her obsession with Meghan Markle seems to intensify. She believes that Meghan Markle is copying her. She begins to post side-by-sides of her and Meghan Markle, similarities in the clothes that they're wearing, similarities in the way that they are standing.
She's a lunatic.
I believe there was one time Kofi gifted her a Cartier bracelet, apparently, and it turns out that Harry later gifts Meghan a Cartier bracelet. But in Jean's mind, Meghan is copying her because Kofi gave her the bracelet before Harry gave Meghan the bracelet. It starts going really down a dark, strange path, and her posts become very erratic and very concerning. She begins to say that she has a book deal with Samantha Markle, and that she has a personal relationship with Meghan Markle's dad. I don't believe any of that is true. I believe that maybe through some of her hateful blog posts regarding Meghan, I believe that maybe she did have initially some contact, or it may have been like a comment or a DM from, Samantha or Meghan's dad. But I don't believe that they had this amazing working relationship that Jean would portray. She said that they were writing a book to expose Meghan, which
it never came out.
Welcome back to part 3 of the King.
Yeah, so what's clear, although Kaura thinks she's over there in Scotland playing mistress to her beloved king and Miss Jean over there, girl, be careful, because you might be digging up a can of worms that you will not be able to handle. Jean is coming off as someone that is unstable. I done said this before, but Kaura, you done left the safety of your country to go to another country that you're not familiar with to live with people in the woods. And we just found out in my previous video, she told us that she was in prison. I still don't know what this lady went to prison for.
Let's go. So Jean's posts from lockdown are just a mishmash of her really missing her dad and mourning her dad. And on the other end of the spectrum is just completely unleashing the most hateful tirade against Meghan Markle that she could possibly summon up. It really was surreal to watch it. And then we actually don't hear too much from her. 2020 was a quiet year because there was a lot going on behind the scenes, I believe. She was posting here, posting there, but again, it was erratic, and it was only ever about one of those two topics. Now, in a few of her blog posts, she mentions that Kofi has asked her to stop posting about Meghan Markle. She says that if she is being true to herself, she knows that she should be listening to her husband, her king, but she has to speak the truth let the world know how much of an awful person Meghan Markle is. It's her duty to inform absolutely everybody. The next we hear from Jean is a post in 2021 on Twitter. She comes out and she says that she is now a single mother of 7. I'm actually going to read parts of that post because it sets the scene, and I think it's where you see Jean. This is one of the last moments that we see her actually coherent in a way. Like, she's still rambling, she is still very focused on Meghan, but this is a moment of I don't know how to put it. She's being raw, she's being honest, and this post is one of the reasons why I still hold a bit of grace for her. I know that she is not completely innocent, because don't get it twisted, she is very, very, very integral when it comes to them recruiting these young vulnerable women from the States and from wherever to join them. She likes the idea of having a handmaid. She likes the idea of being a queen.
And this is what scares me for Kaura. Poor thing, she doesn't even see that she's possibly being manipulated. And the fact that they recruited her offline, where would you have found these people? Some type of chat room? Is there a Kubala fan page? They have a chat? How did she find these people to be able to connect with them and make an arrangement to go meet them?
It does tug at the heartstrings. You can see that she actually is a broken woman. This man is really, really a manipulative piece of work. So she starts by saying, "It is with a heavy heart that I announce that Nino and I are no longer together. It was through my writing that I met him, and to some degree it is through my writing that we parted. In fact, Nino did say he fell in love with me after he read my online diary of my journey of abuse in the hands of..."
I'ma pause. I'm gonna keep connecting this to Kaura, because she came on here and she stated that, you know, she didn't look like she had a good upbringing, that she possibly went through some abuse as well. She talked about her mom signed her rights over to her abuser. She stated that in the first video. Like I said, if you guys didn't watch my first video, go back and watch it. I'll link it below. This man, and then we talk about the manipulation, he seeks out women like this. They're easily manipulated. In their mind, he's trying to heal them. He wants to make them a better woman. The whole time, baby, you don't even realize you are the prey. You don't even see it.
Church members. He wanted to be the one to comfort me and help me heal, with his sense of humor. I did find a lot of healing and comfort in his arms.
See?
But sometimes things are not meant to be. All I know is I loved him very much, and I bowed to him. I wrote songs for him. I honored him more than I've ever honored any man who's walked on this earth. I worked hard to build him a harem. It was me who told him the idea. Again, conflicting reports here. But there are times in life where even sacrifice, love, and the highest honor is never enough. I did not want to write this blog because, first of all, as a black woman, my journey and my life is my fault, especially to other black people. As a woman who has written a lot of things which don't fit the minds of black people, I already have a lot of black people who hate me. In fact, all the trauma and pain I have ever received in my life was due to the hands of black people. Daddy was the only person on this.
What black people got? How we get in it? What black people do to you? Everybody blame their trauma on everybody else but the people they need to blame it on. Like this.
On this earth, who was my friend. I have never really had friends in my life. I have always walked alone and been betrayed a lot. Every time I wrote about some of the things I've been through, Zimbabweans and most black people who read my work always told me that I am the one with the problem, because all those people can't just not like you, starting with your own mother. But when it comes to Meghan Markle, who has fallen out with every member of her family and her husband's family, black people hail her as a hero and a victim. But for me, because I am fully black and Mary Tamar, I do not have the privilege to be understood and hailed as a hero by black people. She goes on to say, since my daddy died, a lot has happened. A few months before he died, I felt so connected to Daddy and honored him a lot in my essays writing about Meghan was a revelation to me. It came from within. Nino was never too happy about me writing about Meghan because she is someone who he has always admired and respected. He thought everything Meghan has done is a calling and a blessing for black people. So sadly, I stopped writing about Meghan, barely, like for a week, a few days before Daddy died. But what was to comfort me was that about 2 weeks before my daddy passed, as I was writing about Meghan and praising him, I felt like Daddy would not read that essay. Something in me told me to just write directly to him, tell him how much I appreciated that I was born his daughter. Then he told me I made him cry, and that was the last conversation I had with him. I was comforted that even though Nino did not support or agree with my Meghan articles, somehow they made me be at peace with Daddy, reach out to him on his last day, and reach out to him in his last days on earth. So I believe my instincts were right. Okay, I am a woman so hated, so misunderstood. I do not sometimes understand why I was born with a mind like this or with the hands that I have. The things that I write and make The things that I think and write make people, especially black people, hate me. The things I think and write, especially about Meghan, have been so deep, it's contributed to my husband leaving me. My husband even told me that I should be on Megan's side and right supporting her. But I couldn't betray my own soul, because through dreams and revelations of God showing me who Megan was, even though I've always been a submissive wife, I could not come out and write praises for a woman I believe is evil.
What?
Her cause even hurts black women like me even more. I could never come out and write praises for a woman saying things that black people praise her for things I have endured and been called mad for. I could never betray my soul, so because of my pen, I sit here alone today. She talks about writing these books, that she's still going to write this book that exposes Megan. She talks about missing her dad again. And then she says, "For now, I am at a crossroads where all I have on earth and in my hand is my pen and my 7 children. My pen and my mind did cost me the only husband I ever loved. I have nothing to lose now. Before I join my daddy to rest, I only have 2 things I wish for: to see my children grow and for my books to be published. That's what I believe I live for. That's all I have. Yes, for that reason, I am now a single mother of 7.
Y'all, it's really sad, because you would think the way she is talking, you would think that Meghan Markle done did something to her and has ruined her life. She has never met Meghan Markle. She don't know that woman. And that's what I'm saying, like, this fixation and obsession, that is sick. And this 21-year-old girl done packed herself up to go move and go be with these people. She don't even know what she has gotten herself into. We're gonna go on to part 5, y'all. This is crazy.
Part 5 of the Kubala Kingdom Chronicles, guys. We're still going. So Jean's posts just get more and she clearly is spiraling, suffering from some type of mental break or health episode. Despite that post saying that she was now a single mother of 7, it seems that Kofi was at this point still living in the same property as Jean and the children. So evidently the situation in the house is spiraling out of control. Jean is evidently having some type of mental health breakdown. Nino has broken up with her, and I guess everything just explodes. She gets more and more erratic on her blog posts and on Facebook as well. And eventually Kofi comes out with a statement. I'm actually just going to read the statement from Kofi because it's absolutely bonkers, considering the man is bonkers. So he says, "It is with regret I announce my separation from Jean Gasho. I cannot at this stage continue to be with her. She believes she is now possessed with the spirit of her deceased father.
What?
I've witnessed disturbing behavior over the last weekend, particularly during the Sabbath day, where I saw her using African things to consult the dead, doing rituals in my house, speaking in a voice that was identical to that of her late father, claiming that Zimbabwe is about to burn. She claims her father was murdered by her younger brother. Her father clearly died of COVID. I do not believe in consultation of the dead. I worship the God of Israel. I am a Jew of the house of David. Spirit mediums are banned in Israel. I believe Jean is suffering from grief of her father, probably depressed, but now it's out of my hands. I did try to get her the help she desperately needs. She declined. I have children with Jean, and right now they are my priority. I hope her family reach out to her about getting her the help she needs. I did love her very much, but it was not meant to be. I asked the people of Zimbabwe not to encourage her writing. She's not herself. Jean has no friends and alienates herself from everyone, claiming everyone is out to get her. I ask Zimbabweans especially to respect my privacy and let me focus, I believe it says focus on my children or my family or something like that. So I've not really mentioned anything too deep about Jean's children. As we know, she has about 2 or 3 of them, which are her and Nino's, but the rest of them were her ex-husbands, and then I believe that one of them was for a different guy as well. However, her oldest child was a girl. I just want to mention that I know Jean posted pictures of her children all over the internet. Their faces are out there. I will not be posting their faces, guys, and I think in any sort of discourse on this, I think it would be like a good idea for us to just protect the privacy of the children. So I know I have seen a few people post pictures that they found in the comments. Guys, I'll just delete it. Just cover their faces and post it if you have to. Jean's eldest child is a girl. She has made a few blog posts about her. She calls her very beautiful, very charming, very intelligent young lady. And during this period where Jean is going through this mental health crisis, and Nino/Kofi has said that he has cast her aside and they are no longer together, he sets his eyes, quite literally, mind you, he sets his eyes on Jean's oldest daughter. We'll call her Amy.
Are you serious?
Now, Kofi/Nino...
Wait, what? So her husband or a partner, the one that she hasn't yet divorced, is now looking at her daughter? Y'all, this is disturbing. This is, oh my goodness, this is disturbing.
He begins to post pictures of him and Amy in strange situations. He was posting her sitting in his lap, posting out with her in public in the park. They were not allowed to wear jewelry. That was one of the things he was very strict on. There is a picture of her sitting in his lap and she's wearing a ring on this finger. She was 17. She was 17 years old. And this is all happening in the same house as where Jean is.
And she's still living with her.
It's completely inappropriate and it's weird and it's a genuine cause for concern. Jean, meanwhile, is spiraling. She then completely changes her tune. She is begging for him to come back. She is apologizing. She is groveling all over social media, begging for this man to come back. This was also when they started going live on Facebook a lot. It was just hours and hours of really bizarre behavior in the household. Jean began to wear the clothes that are similar to what we see her wearing now. She began to paint her face with loads of paint. I believe she was in a state of mourning, she called it. She was mourning and grieving, I guess, very publicly. It was very jarring. It really was. And it was concerning to know that there were children in the background. That was the scary thing, because some of the emotions that she would be displaying would be so intense. It's just to know that there are young children. It was horrifying. So in this state, Jean actually spills a lot of her own tea. She tells us a lot about what was going on in the previous years. So you guys remember Shulamite. It turns out that Shulamite was Nino's first wife from Ghana, who he married in a traditional church setting. He then uses Jean to come to the UK. And then he pitches Shulamite to Jean as his second wife. Jean tells us that Nino used to hit her. She says that when she was pregnant with the first child she had for him,
he was beating her.
He beat her so badly that she had to call the emergency services and that she held it in.
We gonna pause you there. The video almost over, y'all. Red flag, red flag. If this wasn't the second, the third, the fourth, or the fifth, not only is he a womanizing manipulator, he's abusive. He knows what type of background Jean is from. She talked about her past, like dealing with that type of violence. And now we just learned he was her abuser also.
Talks about how he came and made her lose her council home, which then dropped them in that lifestyle of living Airbnb to Airbnb to Airbnb to Airbnb. She tells us how she was sending money, all of her benefits, back to his family in Ghana. And then I suppose as a result of the pushback he gets, quite literally overnight, Nino/Kofi, remember how before he was very much against Jean's way of, as he called it, her African ways. Quite literally overnight, he decides, actually, no, I'm down with this. Let's get crazy. Let's do this madness. Me and you together.
When I first started this, I would have never thought we would be here. But here we are. It's like a rabbit hole. We're just getting deeper and deeper. Kaura's family really needs to reel her in. I don't care if she's an adult or not. She done got me interested, learning more about this African tribe, learning more about Kubala and the founding members, okay? We're going to find out more together, learn more together. We're going to continue to follow this story as it unfolds. Thank you guys for watching, and like I said, I will see you in the next one.